I've learned one truth that has never failed me. Action is the key. No amount of wishing or hoping can replace the power of doing. I've seen too many men and women with grand ideas who waited for the right time, the perfect opportunity, the ideal conditions. But let me tell you, the time will never be just right. You must act where you stand, with what you have, and build from there. When I first began studying the successful men of our time, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, I discovered they shared a common trait. They acted, not recklessly but decisively. They understood that plans mean little without the courage to carry them out. You may not know exactly how to begin, but if your desire is strong enough, action becomes the bridge between your present and your goal. You must persist. That word persistence carries more weight than most understand. It's not mere repetition, it's an obsession with progress. When I wrote Think and Grow Rich, I said it clearly: wishing will not bring riches, but a burning desire backed by faith transformed into action with persistence that does not recognize failure that is the formula. People quit too easily. They try once, maybe twice, and then turn back. They see a closed door and walk away. But I tell you now, if the first plan you adopt does not work, replace it with another, and if that fails, replace it again. Keep going until your goal yields. Most people fail not because they lack the means, but because they lack the will to continue. You want results? Then force yourself to act even when you're uncertain, afraid, or unmotivated. That first step, however small, is where the magic begins. I remember countless days when I didn't feel ready, when fear loomed large, but I acted anyway. And every time I moved forward, fear shrank behind me. Persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. It gives you strength, resolve, and edge. It transforms you from someone with a dream into someone who demands its reality. Like the postage stamp that sticks to the letter until it reaches its destination, you must stick to your plan until it delivers. There is no secret more powerful than this. You become the person you need to be by doing the things that person would do. Force yourself into motion, even if you crawl at first. As you build momentum, your confidence will grow, your vision will sharpen, and your pace will quicken. You don't need to see the whole road. Just take the next step. Every act of effort carries with it a burst of belief. The mind, once in motion, will begin to attract and generate ideas, resources, and support. But you must strike the match. You must take the step. Begin now. Begin today. Whatever your goal, force yourself to move toward it. No matter how modest the action, do not wait. Success is not for the idle. It is not for the dreamer who never wakes. It is for the doer, for the one who gets up and does the work. There was a time in my own life when I was consumed by doubt. I had interviewed the greatest minds of industry, amassed their stories, and yet my manuscript sat idle. I wondered if anyone would listen. I questioned whether my work would matter. But then I remembered the very lesson I was trying to teach others. Success requires action, not just thought. So I stood up from my desk, walked to the publisher, and put the work in motion. That decision changed everything. Let me tell you something important. The habit of procrastination is the silent killer of ambition. It lulls you into comfort, disguises itself as patience, and convinces you that you are thinking when, in truth, you are delaying. The successful man understands that ideas are only potential. Action is what gives them shape. If you wait to feel ready, you may wait forever. If you wait until your courage arrives, you may die with your song unsung. Courage comes in the doing. The most confident men I've known did not begin that way. They built it through consistent forward motion, through action taken in spite of fear. I remember a conversation with Henry Ford. He said, "I never knew much of anything when I started, but I believed I could find out." And he did. He took action with what little he had, and the world rewarded him not for his resources, but for his resolve. When you move, the world responds. People and circumstances that were hidden will appear. Ideas that seemed unclear will clarify. That's the power of decision followed by action. You must cultivate this, the ability to act quickly when your intuition stirs, when your mind whispers a direction. Do not delay it. Decision is the beginning of action. And the man who decides firmly and acts boldly is the one the world steps aside for. Every time you act, you teach your subconscious mind that you are serious. You teach it that your goals are not idle dreams but commands. And it, in turn, begins to bring into your life the circumstances that match your determination. I have taught thousands this principle. Force yourself to act until it becomes natural. Form the habit of action. Start by doing something small, writing the plan, making the call, setting the alarm. These actions compound. What begins as effort becomes instinct. Action creates clarity. It exposes weakness. It reveals opportunity. Most of all, it builds strength. With every deliberate movement forward, you are rewriting your identity from the inside out. You are becoming the person worthy of the success you seek. I urge you, no matter where you stand now, no matter how heavy the burdens you carry, take the step. You do not need to see the entire staircase. Begin with one bold movement and the next will appear. Let me share with you something that often goes unspoken. Many people live in constant fear of making the wrong move. They stand frozen, weighing every possibility, analyzing each outcome until they are paralyzed by indecision. I have seen this destroy more dreams than failure ever could. You see, failure is not the enemy, inaction is. Every failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, but only if you act. A man who tries and falls is far ahead of the man who never tries at all. When I began building the law of success, I didn't wait for everything to be perfect. I studied, I asked questions, I took notes, but above all, I moved. Every principle I discovered, definiteness of purpose, faith, decision, persistence, all of them required one thing to activate them: action. Without action, purpose remains theory. Faith is an unused muscle. Decision has no weight, and persistence cannot take form. I recall a young man who once asked me, "Mr. Hill, what if I'm not sure what my burning desire is?" I told him, "You find it by moving towards something. You do not find desire by thinking, you discover it by doing." And it was true. The moment he began acting on the smallest hunch, life began to respond to him. Clarity followed movement. You must understand that the mind is like a muscle. It responds to discipline and action. The more you act with purpose, the stronger your mind becomes. The more you allow hesitation, the weaker your will grows. Action is the tool by which you mold your character. It is the furnace where your true self is forged. The habit of action must be cultivated daily. You must train yourself to act in spite of discomfort. In those moments when you feel the least inspired, when the path ahead seems dark, you must push forward. That is when growth happens. I developed a personal rule: never end the day without moving in the direction of your chief aim. No matter how small the action, write a paragraph, make a call, refine your plan, do something. This rule alone can change the trajectory of your entire life. Action also quiets the inner critic. Doubt cannot argue with results. The man who moves forward, who builds, who risks, he silences fear not with words but with evidence. He proves to himself again and again that he is capable. And with each proof, belief grows stronger. Now let me tell you this, even your failures are valuable. I failed countless times, but I acted every time. And in each misstep, I gathered information, I strengthened my resolve, I built endurance. Success, you see, is not a one-time event. It is a series of accumulated efforts, layered with lessons bound together by action. Let today be the day you move. Let it be the moment you stop thinking about what could be and start building what will be. Let your actions become your declaration. Show the world that you are not a dreamer only, but a doer. And you will be rewarded beyond measure. You must understand, there is a law that governs action just as surely as gravity governs the earth, and that law is cause and effect. Every action you take plants a seed. You may not see the fruit tomorrow or even next week, but it will grow. Your job is not to demand results immediately, but to persist until results have no choice but to appear. I often told my students, plant the seed, nourish it with faith, and water it daily with action. That's the formula. But most give up before the roots even take hold. They look at barren soil and believe nothing is happening, when in truth life is stirring beneath the surface. That's why you must keep working, keep moving, keep doing. Action has a spiritual quality. It transforms not only your outer world, but your inner being. With each deliberate act, you strip away doubt and replace it with power. You no longer ask if you can, you begin to know that you will. When I speak of forcing yourself to act, I do not mean reckless motion. I speak of deliberate momentum. Each step is a vote for the future self you wish to become. And the more votes you cast, the more that identity solidifies. There's another truth I want you to grasp. Action draws people to you. It signals confidence, it attracts opportunities, it inspires others to invest in your vision. No one follows a man who waits, but a man who moves. He commands attention. Think of Edison, who failed thousands of times before creating the electric light. Do you believe he waited for inspiration every day? No. He forced action, tested ideas, learned from failure, and persisted with grit. And the world changed because of it. There were days when I myself doubted my work, when I wondered if my mission to document the laws of success would ever be completed. But I remembered the pledge I made to Andrew Carnegie, that I would devote 20 years to uncovering the philosophy of achievement. And so I moved. Every day I acted not always boldly, but always forward. You must form the habit of beginning. The greatest advantage a man can gain over others is the ability to start without permission, without perfect clarity, without needing applause. Begin with what you know, act with what you have, and the next step will reveal itself. You don't need to know the whole plan. What you need is motion. And motion, when fueled by purpose, builds momentum. That momentum becomes force. And that force creates results that others will call luck, but you will know the truth. You forced yourself to act when it was hard. You moved when others waited. And in doing so, you become unstoppable. Let me leave you with a final truth I learned through decades of study, failure, and ultimate success. The man who disciplines himself to act, regardless of how he feels, controls his destiny. You may admire the man of great intellect, the man with charm or talent, but the one you should seek to become is the man of action. Talent without motion decays. Intelligence without application means nothing. But consistent, focused action, this is power in motion. You must understand that every great achievement began with a moment of decision followed by immediate action. It did not begin with a committee. It did not begin with more research. It began when one man or woman said, "I will," and then did. Your habits define your future. The man who builds the habit of acting, even when uninspired, will outperform the genius who only works when he feels like it. Because inspiration is fickle, but discipline is dependable. You do not need to be extraordinary to begin, but you must begin to become extraordinary. There will be days when your energy is low, days when doubt creeps in, days when your vision seems clouded. And those are the most important days of all. Those are the days when action matters most, because action taken in adversity strengthens your will like fire-hardened steel. There is no value in intention without execution. There is no victory in ideas alone. You will never think your way to success. You must work your way there. And work is not a punishment, it is the path to freedom. Every small task completed is a deposit in the bank of self-respect. Every challenge overcome is a brick in the foundation of your belief. Every action proves to your subconscious that you are worthy of the outcome you seek. I urge you, force yourself to take that step today. Whatever you've been delaying, do it now, not tomorrow, not after one more hour of planning. Now. That call you need to make it. That chapter you need to write, begin it. That change you keep imagining, step into it. Each time you act, you reinforce the most powerful belief a man can hold. I am the kind of person who follows through. And once you become that man, once you live by that code, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not the opinions of others, because you will know deep in your soul that you are moving forward. And that is enough. Action is your ally. Use it, trust it, and never wait for permission to begin.